What's up, War Report family? It's your man Ike Jones here, and we are here weekend tailgate style to break down everything that we saw last night all across the SEC. But we're definitely about to talk about this Auburn win against Western Kentucky. You guys stay tuned because the weekend tailgate, brought to you by show sponsor Athletic Architects, starts right now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by
Athletic Architect.
It's your boy, Ike Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
Yeah, we are here. Just Ike Jones and B Will today. Mike G might join us a little bit later, but C-Dub has the day off. We are here talking a little bit about what we saw yesterday around the college athletic spectrum. Whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. But you know, we're here. My bad. Hit the wrong. See, this is what happens when somebody ain't supposed to be hosting stuff, bro. You just start hitting buttons that you ain't supposed to be hitting. Man. Show sponsor Athletic Architects bringing you today's weekend tailgate. Make sure you go to buildthehouse.com. If you are an athlete or you are a parent of an athlete or somebody who wants to start an LLC, any of those things, buildthehouse.com is where you need to go to do that. So you guys make sure you tap in with them. As well, all of the stuff that you're supposed to be doing. Like, listen, we say this before every show, and like I feel like sometimes y'all like actually do this stuff and sometimes you don't. But what we really want you to do is share the video. Like right now, if you're watching this and you have social media, go right now. We're going to take like a 2-second pause, 2 seconds of me not talking about anything important, and go click share on the bottom of the video and share it to social media. Tag us in that tweet if you're on Twitter, tag us on Facebook, wherever you're sharing the video. I don't care if you just text it to somebody, pretend like we're in that text thread and tag us to that. And make sure somebody else is coming in here to talk about this with us, man, because we be dropping gems for y'all, man. Y'all got to get some other people on board with this. Like the video right now. Don't wait until later and be like, oh, man, I forgot, man. No, just go ahead and like the video right now. If you're not subscribed and you can't chat with us right now, it's because you're not subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. You want to stay locked in with us because football season is coming to an end, but we are going to keep the party rolling with basketball. So make sure you're tapped in with us right there. Outside of that, man, we got wonderful things that you need to be a part of, like membership to the War Report, man. The War Report has memberships available behind the paywall. Tomorrow, I'm getting into the film. I'm going to try to get you guys. I hate when I make promises and I don't do this, but this is what I'm going to try to do. You guys know I do an offensive breakdown. You know I do a defensive breakdown. I'm going to try to do something specific on why the run game is working a little bit better. You can definitely credit some things to the defenses that we're playing, but there are some things that we're doing a little bit better in our run game right now. I'm going to try to do a little bit of that for you guys this week as well. So stay tuned for that, but you have to be a patron to be able to get that stuff. I'm going to be trying to crank out some videos for you guys that are patrons, and we have some other special things that are coming for you guys down the pipeline. Don't worry, I'm not going to overhype it. If you are a member right now, you can gift memberships. You can go down there to the chat section and you can hit the gift membership thing, and YouTube will randomly assign those memberships to whomever they feel like is worthy. You know, it's you don't have to like pull the sword from the stone or anything like that. YouTube is just going to go ahead and ascribe you worth and tell you you are worthy of a green name because you interact, but maybe you just haven't had an opportunity to take advantage of that. We're going to give away the War Report mug today, sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. This is particularly good if you want to be able to have a place to capture the upset tears from Ole Miss fans and salty Bama fans. You need a receptacle to be able to sip those because they actually taste like sweet nectar and ambrosia. If you put a little honey in it, then you could probably cure COVID directly from this mug. So if you want to be able to get that, hashtag get your weight up right now in the comments. We'll be doing that giveaway randomly some point in time later on in the show. Joining us now, my man Mike G. B Will is in here. We in here doing the darn thing, talking about last night's victory. And Feels good. It feels good. I was at the game, of course, doing my duties up in the press box, and it was fun, man. It was fun. At least the second half was very fun to watch Auburn do a classic, at least for one half, shutout
Right.
defensively.
For sure.
But yeah, let's talk about it, man. I watched the show last night, the post-game breakdown, but I do want to kind of get into some more analytical things. Have you guys had a chance to go rewatch the game at all? Did you watch it again? Did you guys
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it.
Have not
because of the reasons. But I did watch.
That's important. The reasons are actually important.
Very, very closely. My family is just getting home from church, so if y'all hear me say, "Ma, the meatloaf," that's what's happening. Okay. What a game, man! Like this was a 5.5 point spread.
Yeah,
there were a lot of people.
4.5 by kick.
Right, like there were a lot of people who legitimately thought we were going to lose that game.
Yep.
Oh yeah, a lot of people preseason. There were predictions that Western Kentucky was going to beat us in this game. I'm not going to call out any people in our chat that said this over and over again. Some people who swear they're right about everything were like, I don't know. I think Western Kentucky might beat it. I'm not going to call you out. You know who you are. And you happen to be people who frequently try to call us out on things we're wrong about and say, you guys need to own up to the fact that you're wrong. Go ahead in the comment section and say, you know what? I was wrong. All right. Yeah. Do that for me.
It's easy to be skeptical about what you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But what we do know is that this team still has talent and you still have a lot of very prideful guys. The seniors, I felt like, stepped up and they did what they had to do. I think that they put in a good game plan. Just like any team in college football, Western Kentucky adjusted, and then they made adjustments to those adjustments after halftime. That's it. That's all we expected from this team, man. I've been seeing the sentiment a lot. Like, what would have happened if we had fired Harsin like after like Penn State?
Mm-hmm.
And, how would this have been? How would this have played out if they had pulled the plug earlier? Would they have been like +2 or 3 more wins? So such a scheme can really make your players look great or better sometimes than they actually are, or they can make them look worse. Last night, I thought you saw Auburn pride. And I'll tell you what, man, like I've been very, very, very proud to be an Auburn Tiger over the last couple of weeks since A&M about how our fans have showed up, how they've cheered, how they've shown up, because I'm telling you, it doesn't have to go that way. Look at the empty stadium, even Bama, man, like for Austin Peay.
Right.
Yeah.
That crowd was looking sparse. And this guy came in our comment section, man, Mike, and he left this comment talking about, imagine acting like a 5-6 team is on the upswing.
And I didn't imagine it because it's actually true.
Wow. Yeah, like I did
crazy to think.
I literally physically didn't have the energy.
I just ignored it
to type a response to that stupidity. Like I'm learning how to ignore these people, but they are kind of on the upswing.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think they're on the upswing, that just means that you're paying attention to the record and not the results of how it got there.
Right. So
teams easily playing better. So I don't know anybody saying anything contrary to that. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
So, I'm calling you stupid if you're watching this later. I apologize. Well, no, you aren't stupid. That statement was. You actually might be stupid. I don't know you. The statement definitely qualifies as stupid. So
you're dumb.
You're the ugly chick. So I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, this sets up a really, really, really interesting Iron Bowl. Neither team is playing for the West. There's no playoffs on the line. There's no SEC championship on the line. But man, this might be one of the most intensely contested Iron Bowls we've seen in a really, really long time.
I mean, last year was intense. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like it was intense, but offensively it was inept, right? Like it was just a lot of ineptness. I don't think that that's what the story this year is going to be. So the old school Auburn football, I tweeted out during the game, it looked like we got in a time machine and went in the way back time machine, and I was like, yo, this is Cadillac and Ronnie and Brad Lester and Kenny Irons type football that they're playing now. Line up, smash them in the mouth, go after it. Like that's what they played yesterday, and to the tune of 40 points.
Right.
So that's only the third time this year they scored. They've broken the 40-point mark. So it was interesting to watch. And I'll tell you what. On the flip side, our potential head lead candidate was, getting blown out.
Yeah.
And they were losing. Now, I asked you guys on Wednesday when we were doing the matchups, if I was like, are all these rumors maybe having some sort of distraction effect on the Ole Miss squad? And their fans seem to think so.
Of course they do.
Yeah, they seem to think so. I mean, they were all over Twitter. Like, these guys have been listening to, that they might not have a head coach all week and all this and that.
So here's the thing. If you believe that all of the rumors around our coach impacted our team, you have to believe the rumors around Ole Miss's coach is impacting that team. Like, that doesn't just, like, rumor stuff impacting athletes doesn't stop as soon as you get outside of Lee County, right? Like, that's not how that works. It either is a thing or it's not a thing. Right. So if you believe that it happened in our scenario, it absolutely can happen in their scenario. So it's definitely a possibility. Let's go to the chat real quick and we'll get back into our comments here, and I'll let you get it here, B. Will. But your forehead speaks and says Shane Beamer clapping Vol cheeks was wild.
Yeah, man. He clapped them hard. 63 points. Woo.
We are going to have a conversation for everybody that had, well, look at Josh Heupel in year 2. We will have that conversation shortly. We will get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, because I want to talk about how their offense looked throughout that game, number one, but number two, when his original number one quarterback got in the game.
Right. All right. Well, we can't have a conversation with Tennessee without saying prayers up for Hendon Hooker, man. I feel bad for that young man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he was having a stellar season.
I thought he was my Heisman front runner. And, with only one game left and they weren't going to play in a bowl game anyway, I think he should still be in New York. Personally, I don't think this one last game should negate everything he did all season. I don't think that loss was on him. And, ACLs are tough, man. So, I'll get better, young man. I know he's going to be going pro. So he'll be trying to rehab for the draft. But that was real. I mean, whenever you see a non-contact knee injury, it's bad.
Yeah.
Was
it confirmed ACL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Non-contact, like he dropped, like he was in so much pain. He dropped the ball on his way to the ground without being contacted, and South Carolina picked it up, and it was really, really tough to watch. So prayers up for him.
Appreciate that super chat there. Super sticker here from Thomas Jones. He jumps in to say Gus proves again he's the best 8-3 coach in America. Hashtag anchor down.
It's a solid season.
Can we spend a moment here, please?
Go ahead, brother.
Ike always comes down, stays with me at the crib for the games when he's gonna come and work the press box, and 3:00 game, so Ike needs to be there somewhere between anywhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So we watch an early game. We sit down, we watch an early game. This was the early game I wanted to watch because Gus
and we had beaten.
He had beaten 2 teams that I thought he would lose to. One of those was Tulane,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati visited UCF. They beat Cincinnati pretty handily. Tulane, they actually beat Tulane pretty handily, and Tulane's defense had been playing great all season. Tulane was actually leading their division, if I'm not mistaken. And so I was like, man, was I wrong about Gus? Was I wrong about? No, he was waiting to lose at home to a 3-7 football team that runs the same thing all day. Gus Malzahn was waiting to lose at home to a 3-7 football team that does the same thing all game. 14 points scored. Gus Malzahn, offensive genius, Navy. They've got literal career professional military men on the defense. You can't put points up on these dudes. It's not that they can't play defense, man. Listen, they out there playing as hard as anybody plays. You got basically castaway SEC talent, and you can't beat Navy? Everybody was stumping for Gus. A lot of the anti-Brian Harsin that started right when he got hired was really pro-Gus people because Gus shouldn't have been fired. because he was a nice guy. Gus was a nice guy, and his wife is a very nice person. They're a good family. She is nice, and they are a good family.
Yeah.
That does not make him the football coach that we need. The fact that he's doing the same thing in year 2 that he did basically 5 or 6 out of the 8 years here, this should end that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, we're about to get a coach that we think is better than both Gus and Brian Harsin. So this is not to cast aspersions on either one of them. They're gone. They're not going to coach here anymore. But I would really, really like people. Somebody showed us who they were. 8 years is plenty of time to know who somebody is. It wasn't going to be, oh, well, the next season he was going to get. No, he wasn't. Nothing good was going to happen for us if Gus had stayed here. He's doing the same thing there with a distinct advantage, might I add. All of these Auburn players that went there are supposed to change the tides of the program. This is who he is. It's okay that he's not here. He's great for UCF. He was not great for us. Thank you.
Yeah, they threw one pass, and it was incomplete. They ran the ball every other play in that game. And, I mean, they were grinding out some drives. Limited UCF's possessions. I just don't, man. I mean, that's tough.
It gives credence though. Like you watch us play, and we're essentially a triple option team, right? Like we're just going to keep. We are a little more exotic in the fashion in which we get the ball to our running backs, but we're essentially like we're not going to throw the ball for real. We're just going to keep running it, and you're going to have to figure out a way to stop it. But it gives credence to the idea that Cadillac has been saying in the press conferences is somebody's going to tap out. And it ain't gonna be us. So,
let me tell you this too. Like that loss was not an indictment on Travis Williams and his defense at all.
No,
at all. Right?
Yeah, because if you put up points, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
They
scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, this day and age, to hold a team to 17 points, that doesn't.
Yeah,
throw
no,
the ball,
that defense played very inspired football.
You should win.
The problem is you can't score.
Right.
And I don't know how many times I've had to say this over the last however many years the problem when you can't score the ball, then everybody starts looking at the defense like, oh, how come you couldn't get that? It's like, man, we held up our end of the bargain, bro. 17 points. You couldn't give me 18.
Right.
Which is why everybody trying to criticize what they tried to credit Schmedding with, but Derek Mason's performance in the Iron Bowl last year. Well, he didn't do this with the defense. 10 points, man. We needed 13 regulation offensive points to win that game. This is not about the defense. I get it that the defense eventually gave out because they played the best game that they played all year and was excellent. So you think that us giving up some points late was the reason? No, the offense not scoring points is the reason that the defense gave out. That's the reason we lost that game.
Facts.
All right, so let's jump back here to the comments again. B Will's foreheads. Thanks for another super set. Now that Mike G is here, Quez over Tank. Have at it. We're not going to have this argument again.
All I will say is about Jarquez Hunter is he's playing really, really well.
Jarquez Hunter is amazing.
Yeah, he's playing really, really well, and in my mind, he deserves more touches. And that's not a knock to anybody else. I don't think you have to compare him to anybody else to just say he's playing well. Like every time he touches the ball, it's like an automatic 7 yards. It feels like I think he's seeing the gaps really well. He's doing a good job. He does this thing where he gets to the outside, kind of lowers his shoulder, gets level, and then levels up on the sideline. He does that really, really well. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a good change of pace. It felt like they didn't put him in until the second quarter. It felt like he didn't touch the ball until the second quarter. But from a yard standpoint, I don't know, man. It's everything. It's not just the yards. It's the yards per carry that I'm looking at that have impressed me a lot. And I think that whatever coach is inheriting this team, because Tank is definitely gone, should be excited about having Jarquez Hunter at running back.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't look at Jarquez Hunter and say to yourself, I've got probably the hardest working player that I will ever have on a team, toting the rock for me. And he's going to go out there and give it 110% from the first kickoff to the final one. Any guy who's out there toting the ball that many times and doing your kick returns and on your kickoff team and doing it all without complaining and giving it 110% on every single one of those things and lead blocking sometimes, like Jarquez Hunter literally does everything for this team.
Everything.
And he deserves every bit of credit that he's getting here. Cleveland Brown jumps in, says with the super chat, War Eagle beat Bama. We got this. Looking forward to that game for sure. We will there's plenty of time. We're going to talk about Bama for sure. We will get into that matchup. Another super chat here from Dave Medlock. Appreciate that. Coach H was unwittingly prophetic. I hope for the last couple of weeks, recruits have been just watching. So, yes, definitely hoping that people have been watching what's going on. That's Coach Harsin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was
Coach
like,
Harsin with the just watch. So,
okay. Yeah. I was like, I'm slow here. Which one starts with an H now?
Yeah. Wipe that from your memory. Keep it moving. Right. So, a couple other chats here from some people who do have green names in the chat. Not to say that if you don't have a green name, that you're not important, but just some really good member stuff here. Jaquan Grant says Ole Miss fans is pissed off at Lane and Auburn about the distraction for the head coaching rumors.
Man,
listen, you can blame that on us all you want to.
They're on Twitter talking about some y'all can have him after this, and I'm just like,
y'all were fighting us last week saying you're not going to take our head coach, get your own coach, and now all of a sudden we don't want him no more.
We was taking him anyway. We need your blessing.
Need I repeat? It's still pertinent. You're still ugly. And you're still broke. Now all of a sudden, well, I ain't want her no way after she didn't give you her number. That's what it is. That's what happened.
Yeah.
You was trying to holler at the gas station and you was like, hey, what's up, miss? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? You looking awfully beautiful today. Can I get your number? Nah, it's okay. I'm kind of man. Get you then. I didn't think you was that cute. No way. That's what just happened. Right.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin said, put a ring on it. They went out and bought a cubic zirconium. They bought some fake gold for the ring.
They tried to buy a few little gifts, and she was like, what is this?
So what's wild about this is I do think there might be something to once you hear about a better opportunity doing something, you start thinking about that opportunity. Like, if there's any merit to the idea that Lane Kiffin has, through his agents, been in talk with the university, preeminently just agreed on some details, and it's pretty much a done deal when the season's over, then start thinking about that facility. Oh, man, I saw the pictures. I saw the walkthrough of that, man. It's going to be nice. You see where they got the little board where you can physically stand in front of the projected defense and practice some stuff. That, man, is cool. And you start thinking about who you might want to bring with you. I'm not saying that it can't be a distraction. What I wonder is, in a very granular sense, does him thinking about the Auburn job mean, oh, I forgot to script a couple plays this week? Like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Because they're making it sound like, oh, well, he was up there just dilly-dallying on the phone with his agents and his lawyers, so he didn't run practice on Tuesday. Like, I don't know. I don't know that one for one.
It's likely more of a distraction for the players than it is Lane Kiffin.
So that we're clear, so that there's no about this whole distraction thing. Ole Miss had 703 yards of total offense in that game and lost. They said they're the first team in like 30 years to rush for over 450 yards and lose.
Lost bad too. Like, they got spanked, bro.
So
as bad as.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was a disaster, but I saw that second half too. Like, listen, they can move the ball. Like, I mean, 703 yards, 240 yards through the air, 463 on the ground. Insane. Now, Arkansas got 503 yards, so it wasn't a whole lot of defense played in this one. But I just feel like it was kind of a trap game, right? I feel like it was kind of a trap game before the Egg Bowl. And, it happens, man. It happens. So they didn't exactly lay an egg. If you're going to tell me he's going to come to Auburn and put up 703, even sparsely, I'd take it. So
yeah, listen, 700 plus yards of offense, you should probably win most games. Kind of staying on that topic here with SS Austin in the super chat. Funny how Ole Miss fans switched up on Lane after this game, saying he's a bad coach. They shouldn't have a problem replacing him though, since they are such a better school.
Now, now this was funny. Now I saw this joke a lot. They were saying that after Gus lost, they were like, "Oh, he blew his chance at the Ole Miss job," and I've seen some names being floated for that job under the assumption that Lane is gone. So, we'll probably talk about this later, but I expect an announcement literally the day after the Iron Bowl.
Right.
I hope it's very
I've
soon
told
after.
like it should be a bulletin board widget on your phone when you wake up Sunday morning, right, with the contract details. So, Ole Miss is going to have to move fast. I think early signing period makes these late season coaching changes really, really difficult in terms of recruiting, because you got the portal and there's no guarantee that all these kids that were committed to him to go to Ole Miss next year might say, or even some of the guys that were there. Now, let me tell you, the other thing that Ole Miss fans were complaining about, I don't know if you saw this. I thought I saw you comment on one of these, but they were complaining that during the broadcast, Cole Kubelik, our guy Cole, was inappropriately talking about Lane as if he was already gone and what players and coaches he might actually take with him. And I was just like, it was a blowout.
Right. As they usually do when games are blowouts.
Yeah, when the game's a blowout, they get off on tangents.
Right.
That's it. And that was a relevant one. I just think Ole Miss fans are having a hard time accepting you are a team that has never won the West. You got no SEC championships. You got no national championships. Do they have a Heisman?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm not certain. I want
to chat, chime in. Let us know if they got a Heisman. None comes to mind, right? You've had some okay players come through there, but you can't keep coaches because, number one, I've gone and filmed the games in Oxford, and I'll tell you, that is
Did Archie Manning win the Heisman?
He
Archie,
did.
yeah. So saying Arch. Okay.
Yeah, so they got one. They got one way back in what, like 70 something? Right. Oxford is bottom 3 experiences in terms of traveling in the SEC. Bottom 3. I put Vanderbilt over them in terms of like fan.
Oh yeah, Nashville
is and like overall experience, and I've got the cowbells at the bottom. Right. I just wish God would strike those things from the earth. I think the cowbell thing is stupid. But like, it's not a pleasant experience, but it's in the SEC. So you're going to get a chance to prove yourself against who you play. Right. And that's why people take that job. But they're having a hard time with this. They're having a really hard time with this. And I know some reasonable Ole Miss fans, but I don't blame any of them of being sick of our coach is going to be gone talk.
Right.
I mean, listen, we had to endure it for weeks with Brian Harsin. For weeks, that was what people were talking about during our broadcast, was the uncertainty around his hot seat. Texas A&M fans are going to have to endure this talk for a little while with their coach. Like, it just is what it is when there's speculation around your coach. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's disrespectful for people in the media to talk about storylines involving people who are playing the game. It'd be disrespectful if they were talking about some other team while your game was going on, right? Like if they're over there having debates about whether or not Houston
Bama's going to be over Georgia in the playoff rank. Like that was always annoying. I don't care if I'm watching MAC on Tuesday night. Don't talk about the college football. At least make it about these teams or their prospects in the conference for the rest of the year. Don't make it about other people. That was whack.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I was at the Birmingham Bowl getting some coffee when we were picking up our credentials. And Cole walked up. He's like, "Oh, what's up, Mike?" And I was like, "Hey, Cole." And we were talking about Twitter trolls. And for those of you who like to go at Cole on Twitter, I promise you,
Juan, for this clarification, Ole Miss has never had a Heisman winner. Only 6 players have ever been candidates.
Oh, so Arch never won.
Yeah, plenty of people in the chat, they chimed in. They were like, Arch didn't win it. He came in second.
He went to go. He was nominated for it, but he never won it. So there you go.
So yeah, you've never done anything there. You've
done nothing. Have you even been playing games? It doesn't count.
Yeah, right. Like, so Cole doesn't see most of your trash talk. He selectively responds to shame people when he quote tweets. But if you say something dumb and you at Cole, you get muted, and then he doesn't see anything that you post for the rest of the time. He's not a blocker, but he is a muter. right? He definitely mutes. So, if you're adding Cole thinking you're going to get under his skin, you're not. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
The mute button is big. I think he had Twitter customize his mute button for some of y'all.
All right, let's grab a couple more here. Appreciate the super sticker here, Leanne. She says that, did y'all see what Barkley said about Deion going to A&M? And hey, I did meet Leanne at the basketball game
Cool.
Friday night, so it's good to see you out there. And going to A&M, Texas A&M, and Deion Sanders. I have not seen any of those rumors.
I haven't seen.
Man, that's not close to Atlanta, is it?
I'm glad she recognized you. I had a dude come up to me the other day, and it was like, "Hey, Mike G, it's me, Riddler 232." Don't know who that is, buddy. Did you have a picture? But yeah, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it either.
I haven't seen this at all. So
his name is literally Deion's name is literally being mentioned in every coaching potential vacancy, current vacancy. If there is a person who like gets up out of their seat somewhere, they're like, Deion Sanders might steal their seat.
Right. Well, 11-0 for the first time in school history. 11-0 for the first time, and I saw people raining on like really just crapping on that.
Yeah, like it's awful to not lose games. How could you?
Right, just because he's playing HBCUs. Listen, man, relative to the talent you have and the competition that you're playing,
beat the teams in front of you. That's why, like, so and we can have this separate conversation about Dabo Sweeney and his ability to coach, but he beats the teams in front of him. The problem you have with Dabo is he's going to lose one he probably shouldn't every year with the teams that are in front of him. But that's a whole separate thing. But yeah, to go undefeated is difficult. I don't care what level
at any level of football,
because you're bound to have a bad night.
Right.
It's inevitable that you're going to have a bad night.
But again, pretending like he should, like it's just not some meaningless accomplishment, is complete crap. Because he's not playing. It's not like he's playing with SEC level talent everywhere, all over that team.
Yeah, he's got 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah, so relative to the amount of talent he has and the amount of talent, the teams that he's playing, I'm pretty sure there are probably some teams that they play that have more talent than them.
Every year, somebody poaches people from SWAC schools.
Yeah.
Listen, Tank Dell, the dude that shredded our defense last year in the Birmingham Bowl, that wide receiver, Alabama A&M is where he used to play.
Yep.
So like you guys, like let's not pretend like the SWAC doesn't have talent. Like it's on, like all the talent went to Jackson State when Deion got there. It's all over that league. It just so happens that he has put the best conglomeration of people together, the right staff to get. I mean, it sounds like he might be actually a decent coach, but like, hey, listen, I don't want to ruin anybody's narratives out there about what he can't do because they've never seen him do it. All right, whatever. Anyway,
listen, congrats to him. Like again, I'm still not sold on how good of a coach he will be at this level. Because there's a lot of factors involved, but 11-0 is definitely an accomplishment, and it deserves to get you some looks, man. Everybody gets their start somewhere,
right?
That's usually at what was that school be that Saban was at? Was it Eastern Michigan or something like that?
He started he was in Michigan State. Before that, he graduated from Kent State. He was at a smaller,
he was at one of the smaller schools. Yeah, he had to cut his teeth at a smaller school and then slowly work his way up to the job, to the job. Right. So everybody does it. I just don't like, but you don't get there by losing at that level. Right, so what do you want Deion to do?
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. A couple more super chats here. Imani Smoot jumps in. This team is was expecting from the beginning. Our secondary is going to be crazy good next year. National championship. Oh, I didn't.
We back.
When I got to the end of it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Who is this? That's Imani back with the sunshine. Yes, I love it. National championship. Here we come from Imani. Lisa Wise jumps in here with another super chat. Watch the Ole Miss game. In my opinion, the defensive effort was really lacking after they got down 2 scores. To use Coach Lack's words, somebody's going to quit, and they absolutely felt like watching that game. The defense was just like, I don't know. Yeah,
they fell behind and never recovered.
And this has got to be the worry about Kiffin. I know we're about to go to break, but my worry about Kiffin is who's your DC? And do you dictate the defensive philosophy to the point where, like, look, it's a passing league. Just make sure we're ready for the pass. All right, man. But look, Arkansas, they're a beat 'em up team. All right, they're a beat 'em up front. Are we going to be able to match? No.
Well, so
That's
let's be
it.
clear. Ole Miss is undersized everywhere, right? Like the
Right.
philosophy they have defensively is not so much a product of Lane Kiffin. It's a product of their defensive coordinator and their recruiting on the defensive side of the football. The
Right.
problem is, for me, whether or not Lane Kiffin can get the defensive recruits in. So that means he's got to get the right DC hire to convince somebody that, hey, we need to be stout defensively because teams are going to want to do blah blah blah. Like there's a combination of factors that make it difficult. So just getting the head coach right is not the only portion that has to happen. You've got to get the coordinator hires right. You got to get the position hires right. Like there's a lot that has to go into place because let's look at Alabama right now. Their coordinators, Bama fans would gladly just hand the coordinators to whatever other school wants them right now.
The tweets that I've seen. And listen, Saban has done an excellent job hiring coordinators since he's been at Bama.
He got one wrong. And
But
now all of a sudden he's out of touch with college football and
Maybe two.
maybe
two.
his air. Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, well, he got two wrong at the same time. That's
Right.
the problem.
One year.
There's never
One
been
year
a
he got it
situation
wrong.
where
Yeah.
one year both of them have been bad.
Yeah. Yes. And to be honest, they're bad. A lot of people will take.
Yeah, I mean, they barely lost the two games they lost. And so,
Yeah.
but now all of a sudden they're a terrible team and Bryce Young is
Oh,
overrated and Nick
God.
Saban is past his prime and we need a new coordinator for offensive and our
That's so
wide
stupid,
receivers suck.
man.
It's just like everybody's terrible because you barely lost two games. Bama fans, we'll talk about y'all in a minute. Don't worry.
I'll tell
I
you
got
this.
a lot of smoke.
Everybody's fans are ridiculous except for Auburn and maybe like Vandy. I think us and Vandy, only reasonable fan bases in the SEC.
Yeah. I don't know about Auburn fans either. Anyway, man, we got to go to a break real quick. But when we get back, we will be talking about player of the game. We're going to break down offense, defense, coaching, all that stuff that we normally do. But you already know that you are in here with the weekend tailgate, sponsored by Athletic Architects. We'll be right back. Pay some bills.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Always special thanks to the people who sponsor the War Report, and definite thanks to those of you who continue to sponsor us in your own way by having memberships to the War Report. Patron memberships are $5.99. Tomorrow, we're going to get into this film. It's always more fun to watch the film when it's a win at the end. So we're going to go ahead and break that down for you guys tomorrow. So make sure you're tuned in. Get your patron memberships going. Green Name Gang, holla at me tomorrow. We're going to do some magical things with film. Membership gifting can happen. If you are a member and you want someone else to get a membership, it's really easy to just do that from the live chat from your desktop computer. Right down there at the bottom, you can click to give away memberships. YouTube will randomly gift those to someone else who is a part of our War Report family but hasn't taken the plunge, and they'll get their first month on you. Anybody can do this right here. If you're subscribed to the War Report and you're able to get into the live chat, hashtag get your weight up right now, and you can be a part of this drawing that we'll be doing in just about 30 minutes. Sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you're starting a restaurant and you need some help figuring out the logistics of that thing, make sure you holler at GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Our guy, Walt Taylor, has been a great sponsor of the War Report. He's continued to do some wonderful things. Now, I said that he was taking the day off. Apparently, he only meant he was taking the first half of the day off. But joining us live now is our guy, C-Dub, who is back in here with us. What up, C?
What's up, y'all? Just listen, getting ready for this baby. It feels like I'm moving, but I'm still living here. So it's just stuff is everywhere in the house. Is chaotic.
Been there.
Yeah, man.
Been there. Been there times two. So we already
Still
know
there. What you talking about? Still there.
Yeah. Had the father-in-law over to help me with some stuff. So didn't know if I'll be able to make it, but glad I'm here.
That's what's up, man. So let's get back into this conversation. Well, I don't have to pilot the ship no more. You got the man here. So see, we about to get into player of the game, man.
Hey, War Report family, I need a barber. If you're in Opelika, for Auburn, and you can throw a mean cut. I'll let your boy Mike G. I need a
Hello, what we need to go just talk to Marlene and get us to hook you up with
The team barber.
Was it Bruce's barber?
Hey, listen, he got to be able to do a burst fade, because if I come out of there with a mohawk, I'm gonna be mad for like 2 weeks.
Bruce's barber. Bruce said, "Holla him, get you."
Okay, yeah.
Barber,
I might make a trip up there tomorrow because I'm growing wild. My mom grabbed my hair the other day while I was eating. She's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Mom, you don't understand. I can't just go to any barber. I need somebody who's nice with it." So I know we have a couple of barbers in the community. Some of you guys have hollered at me, but I don't remember because my DMs are a mess right now. So if you're a barber, holler at your boy. I need to be able to get a cut for the next few months.
Says Dre's and Opelika is an option.
Okay, all right.
So, you know, that's one name thrown out there.
But who in that barber shop? There's no one that's nice with the clippers.
Dave, I appreciate this, man. I appreciate this. I got one style. Ball. I'm gonna get you right, Mike G. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, I'm gonna get you right.
No deal. No doubt.
Yeah. They both start with B's, but he meant burst fade, not the ball, not the baldy.
We can do a ball fade where it's like nothing on the sides, and then on top it's also faded into nothing. I can do that real good.
They called it the skin back in the day.
It's gonna look good on you.
That's the hair right here, like a unicorn. Everything else ball. No thanks.
And Antonio says everyone there is good. So all right.
I ain't never been to a barbershop where everybody's good.
That's cap.
That's cap, fam. There's one dude up in there who's like,
there's a weak link. There's a weak link.
He like takes all the walk-ins. There is always one barber at every barber shop.
Hey, man, you need a fade? No, I'm good, dog.
Yeah.
I'm straight.
If you walk in,
I'm waiting on him.
And his chair is open. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to the dude whose chair is open.
Every shop got that one dude that's always taking walk-ins, fam. I'm sorry. 100%. Everyone, unless it's only 2 barbers in there. The dude that started the place and one other dude who needed a chair. Like that's everywhere else.
Hey, listen, real talk, get back to football. I'm kind of excited to sit in a Southern barbershop and just talk ball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait, man.
Because up in D.C., they talking about the Commanders or something. And like, nobody care.
I got my barber is good, but the barbershop banter up there is
political.
D minus.
Right? Did you see what Nancy Pelosi said today? Well, like, man, come on, man, just shit, man, stop, bro, stop. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care.
My hair.
They talking about Bradley Beal.
Talking about everything else.
I was like, whoa, they don't even know what college football is up there. So
it's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Open to recommendations. At me on Twitter. Send me an email, business@thewar report.
Wait a minute. Wait, what? Red flag. He said they're Bama fans in that shop.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Nope.
So
see, you were talking about talking ball, but what you was going to really end up being is 1 out of every 10 locations of everything in the state of Alabama is Auburn, and 9 out of 10 of Alabama.
You got to remember too. Yeah. You got to remember that too. So.
Right. Yeah, like listen, if I walk in and there's a Bama schedule on the door, it's a no-go.
Right.
I'm not,
that's
right? I can't risk one of them having seen the show. and then my line be looking like this.
Yeah, your line gonna be looking like a bum after all the bums you called Bama.
They're gonna give me that Stephen A. Smith hairline. It's gonna be way back here. Like, no, trusting no Bama.
Then
fans.
You can just come on to the crib and I give you the Be Well burst.
Yeah,
time first.
Now I had you out of there in about 10 minutes, dog. Clean.
Oh my god. Anyway, back to football.
All right, guys. Offensive stats. Let's.
We gotta do player of the game first. My bad.
Gotta play the game. Okay.
Yeah. Before we go to offense, you're gonna transition for that. So
player of the game. There he is.
My guy,
Jarquez Hunter.
Well, he deserved it.
All right, running back of the future. 13 carries for 109 yards, a touchdown. I guess he had. Oh yeah, he was 1 of 1. He threw for a touchdown as well.
Right. That's right.
And so had a really good kick return. He had a total of 2 for 44 yards. Kind of an all-around guy in this game. Had a great game. Mike G, this is your guy right here. Talk to us about what you observed with Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah, listen, we talked about Jarquez earlier, before you got on. But he had a great game. And, I mean, a lot of y'all aren't ready to have this conversation, but the callback, that play was a callback. to a 2004 play where Caddy threw a touchdown to Anthony Mix.
Why are we not ready for that conversation?
Jarquez Hunter threw a better pass. He threw a better pass. It was a tight.
That's true.
It was a tighter
threw a
spiral.
good pass, but his was a little underthrown.
Yeah.
And the spiral wasn't as good. Yeah, that's a factual statement.
Right.
Yeah.
The DB was kind of bearing down on Coy a little bit. Right. And I mean,
Good
he threw it was a
good spiral.
The spiral was tight.
Yeah.
The spiral's tight, man.
Yeah.
So hats off to him. He's going to be an everything man next year for this team. Right. So he's going to be one of the guys that they talk about on ESPN before every single game.
Yeah.
That is as a key to the game. Yeah. That's Jarquez Hunter. So, let's get ready for this. These games aren't meaningless, man. Like, listen, if he goes out, win or lose, and has a big Iron Bowl.
I don't want to project too hard because I don't want to get my hopes up too much.
I know what you're going to say.
But quit Sean Judkins and Jarquez Hunter in the same backfield, dog.
Oof.
Oh my God! If that man, bro, that's literally the only reason I would be on the Lane train. I'd be like, honestly, bro, come on.
How
you
likely
bring
is
Judkins,
that?
Man?
How likely is that though?
Very, because they don't know that their next head coach is going to be run centric like Lane is. That's who recruited him. That's who was in the stands to get him, and he wanted to be at Auburn anyway. And if you're Auburn, you can say, "Hey, man, those guys didn't want you. Them guys are gone. I want you, Lane. I'm Lane. I'm gonna be there. Come with me. We're gonna keep toting the rock.
Okay,
closer to home. Let's get it.
Get that transfer. You good,
right? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Is this
like a Lincoln Riley situation with Caleb Williams, where it was just
possibly
I'm going, I'm taking this dude, I'm taking my Heisman guy with me. Wow,
dog. And then you still got Austin too, bro. Come on, man. We might not ever throw the ball next year.
Cobb he's still on the ship. Cobb is still on board.
Man.
Oh yeah, Jeremiah Cobb.
Yeah,
man.
He can wait his turn.
Yeah, we could get Cobb and redshirt him and then still have a two-headed monster waiting.
Yeah, for sure.
We're completely insured against injury. Bro,
still got Austin there.
Listen, we got about 6 days before we hear something because it could happen after the Iron Bowl. It could happen after the Egg Bowl on Thursday. Let's just wait.
Yeah, after Ole Miss is done.
Right.
Because we have an interim, so it just doesn't matter, right? Yeah, it's after he's done. I forgot about that. You're right. It could happen. It could happen Thursday night or Friday.
And the reason why is you're going to be curious to see what's happening with him in Ole Miss after the Egg Bowl. If it's still quiet on that front, very telling.
Yeah.
Well, they said he's been tendered an extension, but there's been no word on him signing it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you don't hear anything on that could be very telling.
That extension was weak AF, bro. Like, from what I heard.
Why do y'all want this to happen so bad?
Because it was entertaining. Damn it! Do it again. No,
you know what's funny was
it's provocative.
The last show before I got sick, we argued about Tank, and like weeks later, I'm checking my DMs and people are like, "Man, Mike got mad about Tank." And I did quit the show.
People were like, they were hitting me up on Twitter about like why I pushed Mike off of the show and see, this is what happens. I saw you get into an argument with Mike. You be in your feelings too much, and I'm like, what?
It was so funny, man. Listen,
it's your fault, Ike. I blame you, Ike.
I be in my feelings, so apparently,
Yeah, the theory is, and to go back to clarify that for those of you who don't know, the fellas were being pretty discreet about my illness because I was very sick, but I did not have a diagnosis, so there was nothing to tell people, hey, Mike's dealing with this or that. Blackerby said the same thing too. He said in the Locked On universe, a lot of people were just like, man, what happened? They finally got in an argument they couldn't resolve. Because me and him disagree all the time. But I promise you, Ike's my G, Zach's my G. Like, there are very few arguments you cannot come back from.
Especially about football. Like, why we gonna not be friends about a football argument? Like, for real.
What are we, Bama fans?
I know,
right? That's a really good one.
I'm in the South. I'm going to buy a gun. He disagreed with me.
Now, if y'all were Bama fans, I would have to get in the middle of that.
Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to shoot Ike over.
Stop, Mike. He has a family.
Anyway,
oh man,
offensive stuff, man.
Anyway, let's talk offensive stats. Passing 9 of 20 for 122 yards and a score.
One of those 9, of course, was from Jarquez Hunter. So
of course. Rushing started off a little slow, but we really started to grind it out in the second half for a total of 252 yards on the game on 42 attempts, 3 scores. Guys, Auburn took care of the ball and won the turnover battle in this game.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
That was a facts or now question, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we all were gloom and doom.
No, I was positive.
Yeah, I'm about to say we said that we would win the turnover battle.
I said we would have at least one turn. We would have a turnover, but we would still win.
But the question was more so like, were we not going to have any turnover? I was like, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Yeah,
because again, Western Kentucky has forced the most turnovers of any team in college football this season. We only had 1 turnover scare the whole game, and that was a bad snap for all of the people who.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I ain't gonna say all the people. I'm gonna call him out outright for Robert Smith, who says that Robbie's good for 2 turnovers a game, and he's gonna give 14 points to the other team. That was not the case in this game.
Right. I would also like to take the time to give Ike a shout out. He told y'all last week that Western Kentucky was a second quarter team.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
And they came out in that second quarter and tied the game. Fortunately for us, they're not a third or fourth quarter team, but
how they've been. I watched like 4 games because I had never seen Western Kentucky play. I was like, I gotta go look at something, bro. They jump out early, and then they extend the lead in the second quarter, and they cruise through the rest of the game. That's how they've been playing the whole year.
Right.
We shut them down early. They did their second quarter magic. They couldn't put it in cruise control.
Right.
Yeah. Again, we already talked about Jarquez. Tank got going. I mean, he started really eating up a lot of yards because I think he had 11, 12 carries in the first half. But the running game just opened up in the second half for him as well as for Jarquez. We start really getting a lot of chunk plays. And I think those guys really begin to get into a groove. Robbie Ashford was 8 of 19, 102 yards. But I like what they was doing early in the game with him. There were some short passes and some short throws that they were using him on. And I liked how we were moving the ball in the first quarter of this game. So, Ike, your thoughts about that and what you saw at the game?
I still think the short passing game has not been as prevalent as it could be. I think that there are some easier ways to get Robbie involved in the pass game. What I did like 100% when I look at this from a rushing standpoint, where is his rushing yards? 9 attempts for 37, right? They didn't try to run Robbie a lot. They were going to run the ball, but they were going to lean on the fact that people thought he was going to run to open it up in the run game. And the only reason that I like that is because you save his body from a bunch of hits.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like Robbie as a runner, but I also like Robbie to be able to finish games. Right. And the job isn't done. Next week, we might need him a little bit more, but they didn't need him this game, and so they didn't put him in the opportunity to get hit a lot. He didn't take a bunch of big hits in this game, so I'm definitely glad that they were able to do that. But I do wish that they would the perfect example for this of what I mean of like just getting the ball in playmakers' hands in space was the throw that he had that went for a first down in the red zone to Jay Fair. Jay Fair was I'm gonna point that out on the watch the film. It's the only catch he had in the game, but he was getting kind of freaky out there. I was like,
listen, if you have not seen the building report we did with Jay Fair, just if you watch that, you wouldn't be surprised at what you saw there. Like, just one of the hardest working guys on the team.
He put a couple dudes in the emergency room. I think their ankles might still need to be in recovery from what he did out there on one catch.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, speed and quickness. So he wasn't kidding when he said that short burst speed. He got busy for like, I forgot how many yards it was on the catch, man. But it was nice, bro. I was very appreciative of what happened. 11 yards. I just looked at it.
It looked to me like Robbie was finally started taking something off the short passes.
Yeah, he had much better touch on those passes. He still zipped one way over Tank's head on a thing where he was rolling out to his left.
Right.
But he threw a beautiful
he played
screen
better.
pass.
I ain't gonna say he was like no Heisman candidate, but he played better yesterday.
He did.
Yeah, he there was a screen, I think it was the Tank that he hit that was a nice pass, and then he had one to Fromm as well on the move. That was a short pass, and he put the right velocity on it, so Fromm was able to catch it in stride and get upfield. So yeah, I saw some things that looked better, and if you're expecting
deep shot to Shed, even though he didn't catch it, looked good.
Yeah. I mean, that was a drop, so it should have been 10 completions
in his arms, not in his hands, but the defender got in his arms. That was crazy, man.
Yeah,
he threw one on a rope to Coy Moore on third down that I thought Coy probably should have caught.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember that one. I remember that one. It was in the second half, I think.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 passes that probably should have been caught, and this stat line for him would look a little better. But I thought he did some really good things out there. And then when you're playing the game like this, just hand off, when he keeps, he's dangerous.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
He could be 30 yards upfield. You blink and he's 30 yards upfield.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm going to be excited to see what the next guy can do with him. Because if I'm sure of anything, I'm sure that these quarterbacks weren't getting any tutelage at all. Definitely not from Keysal. Now, I know that Mike Hartline was working with the QBs some, but I don't know how much influence he had on certain things. But, yeah, it's going to be imperative that whoever we bring in, which is why I'm excited about Lane Kiffin. If you look back over his career, can you really say they have never had a dynamic quarterback under Lane Kiffin at everywhere he's been? He does well with quarterbacks, and we need a guy with a proven track record, especially when you're an offensive head coach. Your offense should not struggle. If our defense takes a little bit of a hit, I get it. But, Lane Kiffin going out here and scoring 17 points a game and we're losing by 4 points is unacceptable. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what the squad looks like. He should be able to scheme up 28 points a game.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Any other thoughts on offense, guys? I think someone mentioned the great job, what we've been seeing with the offensive line, and what's the guy, former player who's taken him over? He was an analyst, and then Simmons. Gave him a lot of kudos and love. Thoughts on what we saw up front with the O-line?
Yeah, second half amazing. First half they were getting it handed to him a little bit. And Cadillac talked about how he challenged his offensive line. He in the post-game presser, you can check that out on our channel right now. In the post-game presser, he talked about the halftime adjustments weren't really adjustments. He said they went into the half and they were like, "Look, guys, you're getting whooped up front." And he said he challenged his running back room, and he's like, "You're gonna take some hits. I need you to get some yards after contact. Y'all are going down too easily right now.
Right,
fight through the tackles and get us some extra yards, because again, if we can do that, we can break their will." And they came out in the second half and they was like, "All right, cool. What you said, block them better, gotcha. Run harder, gotcha."
Yeah.
There was no magic that happened in the second half. It was just players were like, they got tired of getting beat, and it was just like, we're not gonna lose this game. We're gonna go back out here and we're gonna whoop some folks, and we're gonna whoop it real quick and get back out here and get on the bus and go to Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
For sure. All right, gentlemen, let's talk real quick about, have we talked defense yet?
Not yet, no.
Let's pull that up. Do we want to do that, or we want to get to the drawing? It's almost at the hour mark.
We can do the drawing first.
Let's do the drawing. And we are drawing, I believe I saw it was a mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. To enter to win, guys, you already know what to do, especially if you are real regular on here. Hashtag get your weight up. When this comes down, Ike is drawing. We ain't waiting no more.
Yep, 43 entries. Somebody's got to win it. Who shall it be? Courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. Congratulations to C Hall.
See, are you here? We need to see you, sir.
Let us know what's up. If you are here, you need to let us know. Otherwise, we will draw this thing again.
For sure. Guys, keep a lookout. We'll move on. Let's get to the defense. Defense total I like these poses here. 62 tackles, 2 sacks on the night, 5 tackles for loss, had a QB hurry, 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6. What is that? 10
pass breakups.
pass
I don't know why I put that
breakups. Okay.
extra. I don't know. I suppose should have been BR, not PR anyway.
Gotcha. I was like, what is PR ups?
Yeah.
10 pass breakups, gave up 396 yards. You know what's so cool about this on the 300 yards passing? Because I think this was a fax or no. I think we talked about this at some point. The QB for Western Kentucky actually threw for 289 yards. Darius Ocean came in and completed 2 of 3 for 11 yards. So we technically held their starting QB under 300 yards passing. And the game was already decided by that point, by the time they got to 300. 96 yards rushing. Thoughts on the defense? And I wonder, did that conversation that Caddy had was with the defense as well? Because the defense was getting its fair share of stops at times, but there were some chunk plays we were giving up in the second quarter that Western Kentucky was able, and I can see why this team is dangerous, because when they get those chunk plays, they get into a serious rhythm offensively. And so once we were able to eliminate that in the second half, it's like their offense kind of went to nothing at that point. But thoughts on the defensive performance? I'll start with you, B.
This is the defense we thought we would see all season. Based on the personnel that we had, we expected to see this type of defensive performance. Maybe you expect a little less with Aku Leota, but this is it, man. Like, it's still baffling to me. And maybe I have a new appreciation for just how much a head coach can affect college kids, more so than pros. Pros are going to play. Head coaches in the pros are very overbearing and workmen and do your job and all that stuff. And it's not fair. You might not like them, but you go out there and ball because you're getting paid. All right. Here, how much you like what you're doing, how much you like the coach, how much you like what you're being asked to do in your scheme, and all of that matters. It matters so much, because what I've seen now is I have seen some new faces. Cam Riley back out there is an improvement for sure. Sure. Seeing him get to guys and tackle soundly, it's been refreshing to see the last couple of games. But it seems like these guys, Caddy unlocks something motivationally in these guys that has made all the difference. There have been some things schematically. Simpson going to safety absolutely made a difference. Rotating more guys along the defensive line and at linebacker seems to have absolutely made a difference. You can't help but think, what if I wanted this defense all season? I wanted this defense all season, man. When I was betting on Auburn to cover the spread against Arkansas, that's when I wanted this defense. We didn't have it. I lost money that week. It's all good, though. But I'm proud that this is how this team is going out. Like, that's what probably stuck out the most to me. Like, thank goodness that this is how Derek Hall plays his last game at Auburn. That this is how so many of these offensive linemen are going to go out. I know we're talking about defense, but that effort there. Papo improved so much in the last month. Did they just have him taking on too much? Was it a matter of the wrong guys were on the field, so he was trying to overcompensate? He looked so much better last month. Is it just scheme? Is it just who they got out there? Is it just motivation? Maybe it's a little bit of all three, but thrilled. Not only for the defensive guys who have been here for 4 years, but also for the new guys who got on the field. When Dylan Brooks got that sack, man, to see how happy that team was for him.
Yeah.
That tried to cheat my boy too, man. They tried to say it was a pass. Like,
I've been waiting to see him take the field in limited opportunities. He's found a way to make an impact on the field. So his name has kind of gotten lost in, what is all this, rigmarole that's been going on around the team. But he was a high profile recruit. ESPN had him as the 18th overall player in that class. And we took him from Tennessee at the last minute, after they started going through what they were going through. So I was excited. The other thing that I noted about the defense was it felt like I never got the feeling like they've been on the field too much.
Right.
I never got the feeling like we're going to wear down in the fourth quarter. Like, I'm worried.
The only worry I had was when Marcus Harris went down, and then
for sure.
somebody
Yeah,
else
man.
went
Burks.
down.
Burks.
Yeah, Marquise Burks both went down, and Jeffrey Emba was already out for the game. And I was like, oh Lord, we about to get thin, bro. Like, but it ultimately didn't seem to matter. Shout out to Jason Jones, man. Jason Jones played a lot of snaps yesterday, and he played well.
He did.
Played well.
He's kind of been playing all season with a nagging
his elbow has been hurt.
Elbow injury. Yeah. So like, yeah, man, he's been beasting it. It just seemed even in the second half. I didn't feel any stress.
Well, listen. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about one of Ike's guys. Yours as well, Mike. Y'all get in here. Sherman Sawyer says DJ James finally got that pick and took it to made a house call with it.
Should have had a one earlier, but
man,
the house call was man. I don't know what. So first and foremost, I don't even know what Austin Reed was thinking throwing that pass.
Yeah, because I was like, there was a guy technically like in the area, but he was surrounded by blue jerseys.
It was a dumb decision. I was like, if anything, throw that ball into the ground at everybody's feet in that crowd of people. But or just take the sack.
He made a few throws like that. Throughout the game. It just this one it finally burned him. So
he was a little erratic in this game. He was airmailing a couple of throws. He was behind and late on some throws. It was one of those situations where I felt like he felt like his arm was better than it actually is. And it was cold out there, and maybe the grip wasn't where he thought it was going to be, but he was trying to fit some stuff in. And it was just like, bro, well, that's not a
what
good
are you doing, man? Yeah. But I'm happy he did it because I'm happy for DJ James.
Yeah, because the one he threw to Keontae Scott that got picked off, I was like, that's the throw wasn't there. Like, luckily there was an offsides call, but it's like, why did you even make that throw? Keontae was in phase in the man's hip pocket the whole way. He basically ran the route for the receiver. I was just like,
is that the one? Which one was that? What Keontae got? Is that
he got an interception? But he got an interception, but like it got called back because we were offsides on the play.
Right.
Okay, I thought that was Darius Ocean, but it anyway. Nevertheless, because Darius threw one too. And it might have been Darius. I think that one was Darius. That one was Darius.
But no, still, he just playing like Austin Reed then because I didn't notice it was in there. But apparently that's what their quarterbacks do is try to make throws that aren't actually there during the game because they're so confident in their arm.
Stewart is saying his hand got hit during the throw.
Which one? The one to DJ James?
I think so.
He was in the grasp of someone. Like he shouldn't have tried to make that. That's my whole point. Is like why?
Yeah, he was going down.
It was a curious decision.
Take the sack, bro. Like what are you doing?
That's usually what a young freshman would do, getting in the game, trying to make a play. Do something like that. For sure. But yeah, glad to see DJ finally, after dropping a sure-handed pick, get a pick.
Which he made a great play on the first one. Like he undercut the route, jumped up there. I think the quarterback thought he could just get it right over the top of him, and DJ made a great play on it. He just didn't come down with it ultimately. But
for sure. Happy for him. So yeah, it was just good to see this defense be opportunistic at times and take advantage of a quarterback being very aggressive and was able to pull the game away. Any other thoughts, guys, with the front seven? Was able to get a little bit of pressure eventually in the second half. It looks like it seems like we threw off the timing of the quarterback at times. Anybody else that stood out on defense, guys, that you want to make mention of?
Keontae Scott, I thought played well.
Yeah.
I thought Keontae played well. He had an almost pick.
I'm trying to think who else like stood out.
They called a penalty. Actually, he did pick it, but they called a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think about this for a second. Cam Riley had a decent game. We already talked about Owen. Robert Woodyard got in there a little bit. He got a couple of tackles on special teams, so good to see him out there. Tisdall was doing his thing on special teams. We hadn't gotten to special teams yet, but yeah.
Right.
I think that's probably about it for defensive, like who stood out in my mind.
Right.
I'm eager to see this defense show up again later this week against Bama on the road. So they always say defense travels. I'm one of these guys that really look good in the passing game yet again. So we will definitely see about that. Let's get to special teams. Special teams, we had 2 punt returns, 2 for 31 yards. Kick return, 3 for 66 yards. You had punting, 5 punts for 207 with an average of 41 yards per punt. Alex McPherson, 2 for 2, one of them being a 50-plus yarder. He had a pretty good game. Seems like we're feeling good about field goal kicking again.
I think that kick might have been good from 57.
Yeah, he had plenty of distance on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on special teams? I'll start with you, Mike.
Congratulations to Alex McPherson. In only his second college game, you go out, you nail a 51-yarder. And I'm telling you, that is something. Now, this kid, he hit a 61-yarder, I think, in high school. So, he's got a leg on him, and it was kind of good maybe to see the future at that position because it's been a while since, somebody not named Carlson has made kicks for Auburn. But I'm happy that he got those reps in this season here at the end of the season, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to need every point you can get next week in the Iron Bowl versus Bama, right? If you're going to compete and you're going to stay in the game, you're going to have to hit those field goals. And there were a couple games this year where I felt like missed field goals cost us the game. In tight games where, hey, man, the whole complexion of the game changes if he hits those field goals. So it's hey, listen, I liked it on kickoffs. Evan McGuire got in there, and I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, like I thought they were kicking short on purpose.
I'm not sure, because he kicked the first one into the end zone.
Right.
It never happened again in the game.
Right.
So I don't know if it was on purpose or not.
Yeah, the following ones, it looked like they were trying to do kind
There
of
were
like a
some that
long
were like that for
pooch.
definitely.
Yeah. So nothing really stood out there to me. I think he did the job. Just don't kick the ball out of bounds. That's my pet peeve. Don't kick the ball out of bounds on the kickoff. And the rest of it, special teams. Keontae Scott made a nice play on a punt return. So they had, I think you were saying, like, they had Worsham and Scott stacked.
Yeah.
And
which was interesting. Like, they've never done that all year. And it actually worked because they didn't because both of them were like, oh, let me pretend like I'm gonna catch it. And so they didn't know who to key in on.
Right.
You either had to guess or look up for the ball as a person who was trying to cover the kick. So I thought it was an interesting strategy.
Yeah, he did. He's got some moves, man. I'm telling you. Some of these defensive guys, I like to see them get the ball and get in the open field and see what they could do, because some of the fastest guys we have on the team are on that side of the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
And, overall, I think special teams didn't hurt us.
Right.
It didn't hurt us, and it was an asset. And, if you miss that 51-yarder, you give Western Kentucky the ball with great field position. And who knows how the flow of the game may change once you start to give a team like that a little bit of life. So I thought special teams did the job. I was happy with special teams yesterday.
Same.
Yeah, no, special teams was good. Kickoff coverage was good, other than that one that we gave up the long return on. So a really great job on coverage of kicks. Nothing really to talk about from a punt return standpoint, man. Chapman has been doing his thing. We got a couple of good returns in the kickoff game. Punt returns had a couple of them.
I think we had one penalty for that kick
catching interference. Yeah. But yeah, overall, special teams did their job. Nothing terrible about it. Great kick by McPherson. I talked to him a little bit after the game in the press room, and he was just saying that he could tell the difference. Like, talking to him after the first game, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it was no problem. You just go out there and you kick." But he admitted after this game, he's like, "Yeah, it felt different the second time because he was a little more relaxed." I think it'd be interesting to see his first road game, though, right? Like next week, road environment, whether or not that pressure is a little different for him, or if he's just going to go out there and handle business. So,
I'm telling you, them balls feel a little heavier on the road.
What you be doing on the road, Mike?
How do I rephrase that one? The balls don't travel as far on the road.
It's no better now.
Listen, man.
It's more difficult to kick when you're on the road.
The ball bounces differently on the road.
Oh, my goodness.
The ball bounces differently on the road. It comes off your foot just a little bit tighter and like Jesus Christ.
Now it just sounds like you're in some weird kink stuff.
10-year-old.
Too late.
So
It's too late. Oh man.
y'all
Oh
are
my
ridiculous.
god.
Touch on balls, heavy balls.
I refuse to laugh because my side still hurts. But like they had he's gonna I mean again, but if you can go out there and you can make kicks in a game like that, in an environment like that, man, he can become legend. Does anybody remember a little running back we had back in the day named Trey Smith?
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
I remember.
for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
Ronnie and
for sure.
Cadillac got hurt at the end of the 2003 season, and this little 150-round running back we had. I don't know how
He wasn't there. Go on, we exaggerate that.
No, he was small. Trey was
he
small.
was 3'2", 16 pounds, and he ran all over the Bama
He was,
defense.
he was small, and he went out in that Iron Bowl and ran for 126 yards in his first start, his only start, I think, versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Right? We need Jarquez and Tank to have that kind of performance this Saturday. Yeah. I think one of them goes for 100 yards rushing. I think Auburn has a good chance in this game because again, the best defense for Bryce Young is to keep him on the sideline.
Yes, it's a sound strategy.
Yeah, keep him on the sideline, and you can do that with ball control and a good run game. So it's they're going to need that next week. But all these guys, man, I'm telling you, the mentality, the great ones can go into a road environment and make it a home environment in their head.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see how the players respond. And then they have a coach now. They have a coach. They have a guy who's played in that game in Tuscaloosa and going in there and beat them. Right? And they can say to them, listen, let me tell you guys about this feeling. And that means something. I met one day living in Phoenix. I was out to drinks with Kenyon Barner, right? And if you don't remember who Kenyon Barner is, he was an Oregon running back in 2010 when we beat them in the national title game. And so him and Cam both ended up on the Panthers. And they were playing in Phoenix. And Kenyon said during warmups in University of Phoenix Stadium, because, Cam, they won that. He beat them. He looked at Kenyon and he said, "You remember this feeling?" Right? Like, you remember this feeling, don't you? Right? And that feeling he was joking, but that feeling that he's talking about, I think, if you could find a way to properly translate that to your players and get them to understand, like, hey, nobody expects us to win, but let me tell you what we did when nobody expected us to win in this stadium against this team. Right? I just think this might be the perfect scenario in terms of the Iron Bowl to have Cadillac as the, and then so many former players who also played in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah,
right. On the staff or around the team during this time. So, like I said, I was proud of McPherson. Hopefully they get like Damon Duval to come back and talk to McPherson about kicking in the Iron Bowl. He was a dog at kicker. He was the last guy that we had that did all three.
Yeah, I think so.
He was the last guy that was punt, kickoff, field goals. And get these guys ready. So draw on that experience, for guys at kicker, at running back, at quarterback, receiver, and on the line, and go out there, man, and just have fighting chance against these elephants, man. I think they can do it, and that might be me bugging just a little bit, but I haven't seen anything super impressive from Bama this year that makes me think that they're unbeatable. It's in their house, so they got an edge, but whatever.
A little bug ain't bad, man. A little bug ain't bad.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. Guys, let's talk.
Reference.
No.
Let's get to coaching. Some stats related to coaching, or we can attribute to coaching. 5 penalties for a total of 45 yards, 18 first downs, 6 of 14 on third down. 1 of 1 on fourth down, We're in the red zone. We went 3 for 3, and time of possession ended up being pretty even. It looks like.
Even.
Right?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, it was even.
Wow, pretty even in this game. Surprised at that. Thoughts on the coaching, just in all phases. So we can start with offense. Our thoughts about coaching, guys.
I mean, listen, they were a well-prepared team.
Hey.
Yeah, like listen, I talked to Owen Papo a little bit after the game just about like strategically what they were doing defensively. They came into this game saying they weren't going to blitz a lot because they knew Western Kentucky was going to try to get the ball out quick. A lot of quicks in their offense. So he's like, we need as many people as we can back defending as opposed to trying to send people to pressure Austin Reed. Offensively, the strategy, again, as I told you guys, I watched Rice run over this team. Like I literally end of the second quarter, going into the third quarter, Rice was just like beating them down in the run game. The problem was Rice kept turning the ball over, but their run game was effective. And so, listen, coaches watched the same tape I did. And it was like, oh, you can run on these guys. You just need to stick with the run. Right. And you have to be defensively able to not give up big plays. They limited the big play opportunities and they wore them down in the run game. They had the exact right strategy to go and beat this football team. And they stuck to that strategy despite the fact that the second quarter looked the way that it did. They went into the halftime and they were like, hey, Caddy said he walked out of the locker room. He's like, I let the players have it and I let them talk. And then I came back in there and then we went in and we reaffirmed some things and we talked schematically how we were going to make adjustments to get people in the right situations in the run blocking game. But he was like, I let the players handle it. And they knew what they needed to go out there and do, and they went out and executed it. So that's good coaching to me.
Yeah, right. For sure. B, thoughts on coaching, man?
I mean, the effect we've talked about the effect that Caddy has had on his team over the course of his tenure so far, and we've seen more of it. We see guys looking to just again. I'm reevaluating several things that I thought about coaching and how it affects teams and players this season, and I don't think I'll ever underestimate the mental and emotional effect that a coach can have on players. Not after this season. Not after seeing the difference between them under Brian Harsin and all you change is who's running the ship, and now all the players play much better. It's been a phenomenal just display. I don't think there's anything different I can take from this game, but we've seen intensity come back, and that does amount to a lot of it is Caddy's decision to be intentional about the run. Balance was an illusion under Brian Hartson because we didn't have the horses to be balanced. We didn't have the offensive line to protect a quarterback who was just going to stand back there and pick a defense apart. And the decision to go, nope, we're not doing that. This is what we're doing. We're a lot closer to being able to execute a physical, consistent run game than we are a downfield passing, balanced run pass attack. That decision, as soon as he got the reins, we've just seen it evolve over the last 3 weeks is what we've seen. And it continues to improve. And I'm proud of him, proud of the team, proud of, man, the city was back last night. Yeah. If you came down the night before, I know I was down here the night before, it was busy Friday night.
Yeah.
For the first time, well, not the first time because it was last week too, but these last 2 weekends are you see the fan base back, you see the energy back. That's because of the effect that Caddy has had on his team and the city. It's amazing, man. I don't think they could have made a better decision. We gave Rich McGlynn his flowers on, I think that was the last time we talked, it was pregame. I think it was pregame, but yeah,
Rich.
He did the thing, man. We got it right.
And that was a thing that really surprised me, B, because you talked about really utilizing the talent that you have on the team. One of the things that we heard a lot about Harsin is in his offense is that it's multiple. So the idea and the concept is if you have a multiple offense, you can easily tweak your offense to fit the skill set of the people on your team. So to see this staff actually do that afterwards it's been pretty interesting to see. So I'm happy for Caddy. I think they've done a great job in pivoting. I think they've done a great job in really being able to motivate not just the players, man, but the whole Auburn family. And there's excitement that's back and there's hope. And so that's one of the things that I think again, we gave Rich McGlynn, we gave the president a lot of love and credit for the decision, because if it was up to us, it would be someone else being the interim head coach. For them to pick Caddy and for what has followed, you got to give hats off to them. But Mike G, thoughts on coaching and what you saw?
Is anybody watching Sandman on Netflix?
I'm like 2/3 of the way through the season.
This is really way off base, but I promise kind of vaguely related. There's an episode where like the Sandman is like battling the devil in this like battle of something.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. And he's like, I am a tiger. And she's like, I am a hunter. And at the end of it, she says something weird and thinks she's won. And the Sandman says, I am hope. And she was stumped. What kills hope? And I think that
Ryan
hope.
I was thinking losses kill hope.
Right. Well, I mean, Caesar made me think about it when he was talking about
up from half court and sunk that one.
Right. It was that's funny. It's hope. Hope is I think one of the greatest things that's come out of all this. Man, again, it pains me to say, but it makes me wonder what morale was actually like in that locker room prior. And I think that's a fair question, right? They're giving Caddy game balls. Texas A&M, you would have swore we were playing for the national championship.
Right.
Fireworks everywhere. Guys are coming out. They're hyped. They're a 3-win team at the time. So the hope that they've injected back into this program, I think it helps that we're not fumbling the coaching search. We're seemingly not fumbling the coaching search this time, right? There's a lot of optimism around Auburn's NIL program now, whereas most of the people who didn't like Brian Harsin complained about NIL, we won't compete, and it just took Auburn a while to get it together. And I liked their strategy, man, because what happened was the rules were kind of unclear, and some schools went in head first, and their alumni just started throwing money everywhere.
Yeah.
And they maybe got away with it because the rules weren't clear, and there was a lot of gray area. Mm-hmm. Auburn was just like, we'll be the ones that get busted for being in the gray. So let's figure out a way to go about this smartly. And now they're talking about NIL being one of the major things that may pull Kiffin away from Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. So it's just the hope, man, that this coaching staff has injected back into the program and with the players, I think is a powerful thing. And it's hard to measure that in stats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to look at a stat sheet after the game and we were plus 10 in hope, right? But when it's not there, it has a marked effect on how guys play. They play uninspired, right? Sometimes it's just not about X's and O's. It's just about going out there and chasing a guy down and giving him all you got, right? It's just about playing football. Yeah. And Caddy seems to have gotten these guys to a place where they're just going out and they're like, listen, man, we played this game our whole lives. Let's just go play. The run game is kind of simple. Move somebody, right? And let your running backs do their thing.
Right.
Old school Auburn football did that. You knew we were running it. You couldn't stop it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's kind of what that felt like Saturday.
Yeah.
We're not going to throw a lot. And it will mix in some wrinkles to keep you off balance, like a halfback pass or something. Fortunately, that stuff worked out. But hope, I think, is
trick plays even working now.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. The hope, I think, is what I've noted about this coaching staff. They found a way to motivate and get these guys back in a winning mindset, which is super important. And so, I'm with everybody that says that Brian Harsin may not have been a good fit. Because again, you have to, you're as a CEO of a SEC team, there are a lot of moving parts, but you cannot forget, you cannot treat these guys like, I don't know. There's a measure of control that the players have now.
Right.
And they can walk if they want to.
Right.
right? They get a 1-year reprieve if it's your first time and say, hey, I'm going to go play someplace else. I don't like how this coach talks to me or treats me. I don't like that they don't take input from us. Yeah. And I don't know that all those things were happening, but I'm telling you, there was something going on in the internal culture of this team where it was definitely time for a change. So, wish Brian Harsin well, whatever. And if anything, I hope that he learns from this situation. Right? Like, I think one of the most dangerous things in life you can be is so sure that you're right. That you will not consider the possibility that you may be wrong. And then you'll go into the next situation and make all the same mistakes. So, I hope he changes and adapts, but, and the next guy who comes in, I hope has the ability to be able to assess, where hope is at with our program, properly motivate players. And, I hope he's just as good as a player guy as Caddy is right now.
For sure.
I know they're talking about giving, Lane full autonomy, but man, it would be disappointing if they did not retain Caddy. It would just be really disappointing. I was really disappointed when they didn't retain T. Will.
Yeah.
And there were reasons for that I can't really talk about on air, but like they should have retained T. Will. They should have retained him. And to me, this is a no-brainer, right? You're talking about finding the right guys. Ike was talking about like the coordinators. Finding the right coordinators, and in 1 year, Bama doesn't. Like this, to me, this is a slam dunk. This is one position where you're taking over. You have to worry about the running backs coach.
Yeah.
Let me focus all my energy someplace else because I've already got a player guy. He's a great recruiter, and he knows what he's competent.
Right.
And now he can put this 4-game stretch of head coach under his, on his belt for his resume. So somebody who maybe even understands a little bit what you're going through as a head coach. Come on, man. Hire this guy. Associate head coach, something.
For sure.
And to that point, I think if it's Lane Kiffin, Lane might be a smug head coach. He's not stupid.
Right.
The recruiter, the coach, the running backs coach that Caddy is, he's not stupid. He might have some guys he wants to bring along. There's not a better running back coach in the country than Cadillac Williams, and certainly not better at Auburn than Cadillac Williams. So I don't think he would make that mistake.
Yeah, hopefully not.
All right, guys, we want to get into some comments. C. Hall, we saw that you commented, get your weight up. You actually won. You actually won the mug. If you're still around, we need you to email us business@thewar report. We need your physical address so that we can send you your mug. Congratulations on winning the mug, and thank you again for spending time with us on a Sunday on the weekend tailgate. Let's get back to some of these comments, guys, before we get out of here. Got a super chat here from Wardam Eagle. He says, Mike, I tweeted you last night. If we go 3-1 on the Cadillac, does he make it to where we have to hire him as head coach?
Well, you don't have to do anything, but I want to be clear. There's no circumstance under which Cadillac should be the head coach of this football team. None. Next year, none. There's zero. Right? The experience, it's a lot of moving parts. And, you need your head guy to be that like concrete foundation because the guys under you are going to change, especially if you're successful. And I'm just not sure, like, what is his specialty exactly right now? Ike Hilliard and Will Friend are combining to take care of the offense. We need more than just a cheerleader. And I'm not saying that's the only thing he is, but like, I just think, there's a reason why guys don't become head coaches until like well into their 40s or their 50s, right? The experience that you need to be successful is, and I just think because the expectations are not going to be lowered just because this is his first head coaching gig. I think he needs to be a coordinator somewhere first, or there needs to be some natural progression. Show me in college football where anybody has jumped from running back coach to head coach.
What did Dabo do before he was head coach?
He was an assistant. He was an assistant.
I forget, he was like a special teams coach, coordinator, or something like that.
Maybe like tight ends or receivers, something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But even him stepping into that role at Clemson, one of the things that I've talked about in terms of giving a coach time is that Clemson didn't become a world beater right away when he became head coach.
That's fact.
It took some years for him to get things and figure things out and how to get that, how to turn Clemson into a well-oiled machine.
So he was a wide receiver, tight end coach, and then his last position at Clemson before getting the head coaching job was he was the interim head coach / offensive coordinator. So before that, he was wide receiver coach, and then he got the interim position, and then he got, so it's essentially the same thing. He was a position coach, interim coach, and then head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dabo was an example.
So he took over after they fired Tommy Bowden. Then
All right.
When that what they got have was like 70-3 or something by West Virginia. Was that game?
Kevin Steele. Yeah, it was in the Orange Bowl.
He was a head coach. He was a head. Again, that was like he was starting to begin to turn Clemson around because again, his seat was starting to warm up a little bit.
Yeah, but they sent Kevin Steele packing soundly right.
Yeah,
after
I mean,
that
the only thing I will say in the Coach Caddy situation is I don't think that it's a terrible decision if that's what Auburn does, but it will be difficult. I listened to the post game with you guys last night, and one point that I will concede that Mike made that was really good is it'd be hard to find a seasoned offensive and defensive coordinator that would want to come play with Caddy unless they were former Auburn guys and they were just already bought into Auburn, right? So unless you're going to go get T. Will as your defensive coordinator, I don't know who your OC is going to be. Like that's the difficulty. And then the other portion that I would have trepidation about or be a little hesitant about with Cadillac is what do wide receivers and quarterbacks think when your head coach is so committed to the run in this way? Like, how do you get quality quarterbacks and receivers to come play for that coach unless you find someone who has a proven track record at offensive coordinator and Caddy says, all right, I'm gonna take my hands off it, I'm gonna let you do it, and we're not going to be obsessive about running the football because wide receivers don't want to come play in a system where they know they're never going to get targeted. Quarterbacks don't want to come play in a system unless they are not a quarterback that's like proficient with throwing the ball, like they're truly a dual threat. They don't want to play in a system where they're not going to get to throw the ball. So that's going to be the difficulty with a head coach, Carnell Williams, being the guy who's pushing the narrative of we're going to run the ball. And it's like, well, so you're telling me I'm never going to get to throw it? Right. You're telling me I'm never going to catch passes? That's going to be difficult. Yeah, but outside of that, he does great things as him being in that position. So
a season coordinator, you're going to have to throw a lot of money at. Yeah. And I'm like, what do people think Cadillac is worth as a head coach? What's that dollar figure? Because that's going again, we were paying Steele like $2 million a year, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't two. It was under two, but it was a lot. It was over one.
Yeah. I want to say the last year he got a bump to two. And it was just a lot of, we had the highest paid staff in the country, outside of head coach.
Right.
So
yeah. And I see some people saying Ike Hilliard as OC, but again, he's never done that job. Right. So again, I'll restate the same thing. Experienced offensive coordinators, it's going to be difficult to recruit them unless you're just going to pay a bunch of money. And then is that guy. So what you had as a difficulty with Brian Harsin between him and Coach Mason was a butting of heads of, yeah, you've coached, but you've never coached in this league before. I have, right? You don't want that power dynamic to start to service with, yeah, I get it. You're the Auburn guy, but I know offense. Don't tell me how to run my offense.
That's what I was trying to say last night. These guys have egos, man. Like, I don't know. There's nothing worse than working for somebody who you feel like you could do a better job than they can. Right. It makes it tough. Right. And you got to have, you have the people who work have to be really humble to be able to do and support that. But and I'm not saying that the Caddy can't be competent in the future. I just think it's more than right now when there's nothing to lose really. And, the pressure is different than it is going into a season with the expectation.
He's playing with house money right now.
These wins are great, and I'd rather have them than L's. But the off-season pressure and once it starts to have again the recruiting and you're on the road all the time and all the different things you have to manage, your glad hand and boosters, and then you got to go in and you got to find something that works. for a whole season. Because hear me out again, if you hire him as head coach, the expectations are not going to come down
right
to where his experience is.
Yeah,
They should.
No, they're absolutely not, especially
But they're
considering
not.
what puts him in the position for everybody to say hire him is a winning streak, right? And so now all of a sudden you're going to expect we're just going to continue to win in that fashion. When, I mean, I'm going to get into feeling like I'm trying to crap on Cadillac, and I'm not. Like, I think that he's done an amazing job with this team. But, like, let's be clear. Texas A&M, trash. Western Kentucky, undermatched, right? Mississippi State really wasn't that good defensively either. We've done good things against bad teams, but you did what you were supposed to do against bad teams. So there is credence in beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. Right. But if he goes out there and he beats Bama, a team that you're technically not supposed to beat, it does change the narrative completely. But all it does is raise the expectation for next season.
Right. B, is there a line out on that game yet?
I have seen people talking about that line. I have not checked the site to see what that line is, though.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see.
It's going to be wide. It's going to be very wide. I would say probably 4 scores.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna. I mean, they're not gonna expect that to be close. I guess is my thing. Like, nobody's gonna expect that to be close. So,
and that part of that, my wife asked me last night. She was like, "So does Caddy really have a shot?" And my response to her was, "Well, it's not that he doesn't technically have a shot, because I don't think
people are saying 21, 22 points right now is the line."
Okay.
Okay, it's 3 possessions. Wow. Okay. It's not that he doesn't have a shot, because if he beats Bama, then honestly, it's going to be discussed amongst the fans so much that I'm not sure that to circumvent it, they don't announce the new head coach on Friday. So we can, no matter what happens tomorrow, we know this is coming. Let's just go out and celebrate this guy's accomplishments for the time he has had to do the job.
But listen, Cadillac has the right, he's got the right attitude about this. At least he's saying all the right things, which is like, if they make me the head coach, I'm going to be happy about it. If I'm the running backs coach, I'm going to be happy about it. I want to be here to serve Auburn. He said it verbatim in the press. He's like, I don't care. I don't care about none of that stuff.
Right.
He's like, my seat doesn't determine my service, which basically means I don't care which part. Let me be on the bus. I don't care what seat on the bus I'm on. I just want to come here and serve Auburn, the university that I love. It's the right attitude. He has the exact right attitude about it. The problem, again, is not whether or not Cadillac will be dialed in. It's about the kids that he's coaching. And I say this, I said this before. I don't remember where I was talking about this before, but like the problem that I would see potentially is all of these players who are currently on the team and will be back next year saying, we want Caddy, and Caddy doesn't get the job. And then they become disheartened with the decision that the university made around the head coaching hire. And to amplify that, Cadillac's still in that locker room. And the first time we lose under a new coach with Cadillac in the locker room, the kids are looking like, see, we should have just kept you, bruh.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's partially on Cadillac to control that narrative.
Right.
And he can. And he would not stay here under somebody else and let that attitude
undermine.
He wouldn't do that. The reason I didn't want Caddy as head coach right now is because what I don't want to happen is he has this status as an Auburn legend. Cadillac is an Auburn legend. The first game we lose that people feel like we shouldn't have lost, I don't want people to get this attitude with Caddy. Like that's not what I want. I don't want what he does as a very inexperienced head coach to undermine his legacy here. Pay another guy, and this is the benefit of bringing in whoever for top dollar. We can scrutinize the hell out of Lane Kiffin with the numbers that are floating around for the money he's going to be making. We can just, no, man, come on, man, no, what you doing?
He's Cadillac getting a whole segment on the show.
I mean, we can do the bum list. What do we see can be 4 things that he did wrong in the game to lose the game if it's Lane Kiffin, because you're not us. You're not ours. You can be our head coach, but you're not uniquely Auburn. That's something that happens if you're a head coach. You have a lot of success. You win a championship or two, and then you're just etched in stone like these other Auburn legends when they've gone on these runs.
Look at Scott Frost at Nebraska. How tough was that?
You think, and they gave him part of a 5th year because they like, I don't know, do we cut bait on one of our heroes? Yes. because he was bad. But they didn't. They actually did the nice thing, right? They were like, all right, listen, we're going to fire you
It was
now.
an emotional decision. Yeah.
Right. We're going to fire you now when we could wait like a couple months and save like $8 million because thanks, God, for your service. Here you go. We don't want to be in that situation with somebody who's ours, who would show his face downtown, just coming to see the game longer after he stopped coaching for us. And everybody's like, yeah, that's Cadillac Williams. I don't want that. Let his status remain intact.
Especially when you let him, you give him the opportunity to grow and develop to become that one day.
Right.
You're hiring him on the hope that he can become that on the job when all the expectations are sky high.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't think it's set up for success. Now, listen, at the end of the day, there are some people who make those big jumps in any job from, hey, you get thrown into a position and, there's something to be said for people who just do what they have to do to get the job done. I just think there are too many moving parts here for this to be one of those jobs. And again, I like Cadillac, man, and I can't be understated. His contribution to the revival of the end of this season, it cannot be overlooked.
Yeah,
and it should be praised. But if you asked him, I think he would tell you, I'm not ready. Right? If they offered him the job tomorrow, Caddy would probably sit down with some people close to him and some other folks who are in the know and say, hey, is this a smart decision? Should I take this job? Assuming, I don't know what he did with his NFL money, but I'm assuming he's not hurting for cash. And right, it's you could always have more money, certainly, but I don't think this would be like a money decision. But what is he worth? Now, there was a comment here that I just want to jump to really quickly that's kind of vaguely related, where Wesley Hilson is saying Mark Stoops signed his extension going to 8.6 per year. That's crazy.
Wow.
Right.
Listen, man, these contracts are going to become more normal.
Right. But I think it was B was making the point on a previous show that we did last week that the needle for what we pay coaches is moving.
Mm-hmm.
The market is moving this direction closer and closer to the average being $7-8 million if you want to get a good coach.
Yep.
To me, that's nuts. That's nuts to pay a guy that who, you've had him for a few years.
It's asinine to pay a coach $4 million a year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Your coordinators never made over $1 million.
Right.
Your coordinators were like 500,000. Right. And now coordinators, are breaking $1 million easily. But they're talking about this Lane contract. I'll be interested to see where it lands, but they're talking about it making him a top 3 paid head coach in college football.
Yeah.
And he's accomplished nothing in the SEC.
Ever. As a coordinator, he's done well, but that's it.
Yeah. But
he
as a
hasn't
head
won
coach,
anything as a head coach.
Yeah,
nothing, literally nothing. Like at no program has he won a championship of any sort as a head coach.
So you're hedging your bets. I think same way with Brian Kelly and LSU. What has he won? What has he done? Now, mind you, they are a little bit different because they play in a league of their own or whatever. Notre Dame, but they bet on that he could translate that from Notre Dame to the SEC. In year 1, it seems like a good bet, but it's the SEC, so I'm gonna wait till year 2 or 3 before I pass judgment. Because this league, man, the commercial life comes at you fast. In the SEC, it's like that. Yeah. People laughed at me when I talked about Arkansas, and I said, "Listen, they went 9-3 last year or something like that." I was telling people they're more likely to move backwards in record,
right,
than they are to even have the same record this year. And sure enough, look at them. What are they, like a 6-win team right now?
Yeah.
Or
6-5. 6-5.
They ain't winning 9 games.
Yeah.
Should we be firing Sam Pittman?
No.
All of a sudden? Yeah, I'm just telling. I guess that's my
last
point.
night.
Yes, sustained success is hard, and you're making calculated bets, trying to project what a guy will do, and hoping that once he reaches those heights, he can sustain that.
Right.
The biggest indicators of whether he can sustain that or not, number 1 is recruiting. After you win, are you able to go out and get guys to come to your program?
Right.
Kirby did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he made it to the national title game. He lost in epic fashion. But them recruits were like, we like what you're doing down there. You know, and 1 million 5 stars later,
Right.
he is looking at possibly being a back-to-back national champ.
That's crazy.
If Georgia's defense plays like they are, I just don't know who's going to beat them. That this defense plays the way that it can play and has played. So, you know, trying to find a guy, trying to project how that guy will do is really difficult. And paying him all that money up front is hard. It is. If we make Lane Kiffin the highest paid coach in college football, I hope there's a happy medium, right? Hopefully maybe he can earn that extension. Make him like a top 6. Gus was like 6th when he was here. That's
top 20 and 25.
Yeah, that's still really good money. And then if 2 years later recruiting is outstanding and we've won the West at least one time, extend him, make him the highest paid. Sure. Yeah. Whatever. So, but you know, for Caddy, like I said, I mean, the weight of all those expectations, I just think it's unfair to put that on him, man. You know, and like, listen, these guys, some guys just want the challenge. They do. But that doesn't always mean that it's a smart decision. You know, my mom would say, like, just because the doors are open, it doesn't mean you need to walk through it. Because a job is offered to you, it doesn't mean that you need to take it. It doesn't mean it's the best decision for you.
Right.
You know, so I you know, much love for the Caddy, but like I just want the fan base to be realistic. And if for some reason that ends up being the case, I hope that the fan base will extend him Scott Frost kind of patience. Because you hired him, and I think that's what most coaches deserve, B.
Right.
Yeah,
I think they deserve that type of patience. So when you do move on, there's no question or argument about. Listen, man, he got 5 years. 5 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible patience.
And it looked bad after year 3. Like that year 3 where it should have been better, it looked bad.
Yeah.
Darby corrected me. Excuse me. Lane Kiffin won the Conference USA Championship in 2017-19.
CUSA, baby. Okay,
he has won something.
He's won something.
Something.
My bad. My bad, Lane.
I'm not gonna poo on it because you've got to win at whatever level you're at.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I ain't gonna poo on it.
Let me run through some of these guys' thoughts. Is Dabo really unreal? Y'all may have mentioned Dabo earlier before I jumped on. Is Dabo really unrealistic? He knows as well as we do the ACC is a sinking ship, I guess.
Is he unrealistic? I know we didn't talk about Dabo. Meaning, like, is it unrealistic to think that Dabo would want to come here?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
he
I'm sure he would.
There's been back channel conversations from his agent about the job. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He, of course, he would want to come here, but
I don't want him.
We could do worse.
You could do worse.
You could do worse.
You
can
could
do
do
worse,
worse.
but yeah.
Sweeney,
You can do
but-
worse for sure.
Yeah.
So here are my objections with Dabo Sweeney. It has nothing to do with his coaching, honestly. It has a lot to do with his demeanor. But
Right.
then I don't like the statements that he's
a
made
dork.
regarding NIL. I don't like the statements he's made regarding that. And I don't really like his track record for let me rephrase what I'm about to say. I haven't seen his track record for being able to replace coordinator hires that leave. Right. So he got the first ones right, and they stayed with him for a while. But you know, has he been able to like, as a program builder, you need to be able to get that right consistently. And I don't know that he's able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he's getting away with it because they're in the ACC.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody sucks.
So every week when you're getting smacked, can you and again, he was prone to drop one in the ACC that he shouldn't have. You can't do that in this conference.
Yeah, that's going to be 2, 3, 4 losses.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, in this conference.
I mean, he's been able to get talent there in Clemson.
So you're saying he may end up with some solid seasons, Mike, if he goes 8-4 in the SEC?
Bruh, listen. He had after if DJ, I don't even try to DJU was on.
Uyagalele.
Yeah, that's what Brian said. If he had been like, because he had to fill in for Trevor Lawrence for like a game. I think it was Notre Dame. And he came out and he threw for like 5 touchdowns and like 400 yards. And I was like, man, dude, like they just pulled another one out right? Yeah,
Yeah, everybody thought that he was a Heisman candidate. Preseason last year.
and no, right? And we know how that turned out. And so I started to question. I was just like, all right, like here we go. Again, for sustained success, you need to find a quarterback year after year.
Right.
You need to be able to produce. And I'm iffy about his ability to do that.
Well,
because
I'm
I'm iffy about his ability to do that, and particularly in the SEC, because he can get away with it in the ACC, and the record looks good. But he had a pretty good run with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, and the guy before that ended up going to
Missouri. Kelly Bryant,
was pretty good. But once they don't have that, like all of a sudden, and the rankings reflect that, what they think about that conference. Right. They're a one-loss team, and we're not even talking about them in terms of like making the playoff right now.
Yeah,
they're behind 2-loss teams,
which is why he's probably looking to jump.
Yeah, jump somewhere else, man. Don't bring it. Man. I'm sorry. I just think there are better choices. If we're gonna drop the bag, I don't want to drop it on Dabo.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Right. If we're gonna pay some guy $10+ million a year, to me,
what is he making right now?
I just think we've seen his best days.
Making a grill.
Yeah, I think we've seen his best days. Personally.
Ricky Albright says, welcome to Alabama Hate Week. Is the Football Performance Center a game changer for the next head coach? If so, how?
It definitely is. So game changer might be a little heavy-handed. It definitely helps in recruiting.
It helps.
Because here's what you have to understand. The top recruits that you have, they're taking visits to a bunch of schools, right? And so when they come to your school, they're looking to see a couple of things. They're looking to see what the environment's going to be like on game day, right? Like, what is it going to feel like to step in that stadium and play? So they're going to go to the game and they want to feel what the crowd energy is like. And they want to see, kind of what the locker room environment is like. They want to see that. They want to see what the product is on the field, right? Like how things are happening. Can I see myself in that position playing that role? Like that's the guy who I'd be stepping in for, right? Like that's why you got those Langston Hughes boys and they, they're chummy with Derek Hall and doing his sack celebration in their high school games because they see themselves, I can come and be that in front of this crowd. And then they want to see what the facilities are like. And then they compare those things to all the schools that they go and visit. I like the coaching staff in this one, but I like the environment in this one. I like the facilities in that one. The more of those boxes you can check,
right,
the better chance that you got of landing that guy. And now in the era of NIL, there's that other portion that they're looking at now to see, is there an opportunity for me to make some significant dollars in NIL? And again, the more boxes Auburn can check, environment has always been top notch.
Right.
We've always had decent coordinators, coaching staff that can go out there and have guys that, we've had that. I won't say we've had the best, but we've had some decent, you can see running back. There's positions where we've always been able to cycle through defensive line, DBs. We've had those guys, right? But the facility was always one where it was like, okay, well, it's all right. But it ain't.
If it's raining outside, you can't really practice well.
Right. But now you go and you look at the facility, you're like, this is kind of lit right here. Okay, I can see myself coming in here and getting right. So and then again, you do that, and then you go to another school, and the gap isn't as big for the ones that have like the great facilities, and then it's way better than some of these other places, and you're like, I'm not finna be training out here with these. Y'all just filling bags with sand. That's what we doing,
peasants,
right? So like it definitely changes some things. To call it a game changer, I think is a little heavy handed, but it definitely checks another box.
Jumping back real quick, Dabo Sweeney's contract he just signed like last year was 10 years, $115 million.
So
there you go.
He's already getting paid a bag,
and they're estimating Clemson's buyout as Sweeney should be fired without cause during the next 5 years. Meanwhile, is between $57 and $64 million.
I'm cool.
All
right. James Barnett says, fellas, if you had your choice, and I guess assuming who the presumed favorite is for head coach, who would be the defensive coordinator next season.
I mean, if I could
know.
just pick any defensive coordinator and pluck them off of somebody else's staff, I don't know. I mean, I still think that Will Muschamp is probably one of the best defensive minds in the country. And if he wanted to be a DC, you can't just say you wouldn't want Will Muschamp. But who would be probably more likely to come and I would want to see get the job? I still have to go back to T. Will. I would love to see T. Will come back and be defensive coordinator for Auburn
and stay for a few years, man.
I like the idea that's been floated around of Jeremy Pruitt potentially coming. Jeremy Pruitt's a great defensive coach, right? And now the stuff that he got in trouble for, like, he gives many happy meals as he wants to people as long as he's going through the NIL collective to do it. Ain't got no problem with that.
Hey, McDonald's got a little bag for y'all, but you got to show up, sign some autographs, and the bag's completely legal.
Yeah.
Go do it.
So those two guys for me would be top of the list because they're great defensive minds.
Yeah, we're good.
Great defensive minds, and one of those guys is a guy that's beloved in the Auburn community. I think he'd recruit like hell for Auburn. We've been struggling at the linebacker position. Hey, get a guy with a linebacker's mentality back in here to figure out how to be downhill against that run game and all that kind of thing. You can say what you want to about the loss that they just took. Again, we talked about that earlier. I don't think that that's on T. Will in the defense. If you hold somebody to 17 points, you expect to come up with a W.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I want to throw the opinion there for Charles Kelly. I like
Charles Kelly. I'd love to see Charles Kelly come back again as well, even if it's just, and I say just, but even if he's coming back as a DB coach, right? Like, I think he would be great to bring back on this staff. You put Charles Kelly and Zach Etheridge together, bruh. And Auburn should be winning national championships, dog. I'm sick of this crap, man. Shoot.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I hear you. All right. Run through some of these and we get out of here. Marion Thomas says, if they announce Friday, they will F up the Bammers. All the talk will be about Auburn come Saturday. Please do it. That would be really nice. Mike, you're muted, by the way, in case you're.
Yeah, that's a great point. You love to see it. You love to see anything that gets the Bammers in a tizzy. And then they'll be on Twitter talking about shanking people and, all kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think a Friday announcement would be pretty cool. And would also mean that we had all our shit together in terms of this coaching search.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, that soon, it was just like you went after your guy, you got your guy, end of story. Yeah. No drama.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody out there saying, I don't know who I'd be working for.
Right.
Nobody making inflammatory statements about what it would be like to be the Auburn head coach. So I would like that.
Valencia says, Ike and Mike, I got my shirt yesterday. You all were not on yesterday. I'm planning on wearing Auburn gear all week, so I'll be ready for these Bama folks.
War Eagle.
Glad you got it.
Yeah, they real bold down here, man, in Phoenix City. You got to let them know. You got to let them know where their place is. They get on the elevators and they think they own every space. And I'm not for it at all. Too many tags and flags and too many things that give me a headache.
Yeah, I mean, and some of these folks are bandwagoners. Someone was wearing Auburn stuff like early 2000s. So you just gotta
sidewalk
what
alumni.
It is. Bingo says, I've been listening to you gentlemen for 2 years, and if I could give you all an Emmy, I'd give you all 2 for both years. Keep the standards high like you do. War Eagle back at you. Bingo, appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Before we get out of here, Lawrence asked, do y'all like Caddy bringing back the locked arms like Tubbs used to do?
Hey, man, listen, you do what you know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you something. When you get hired to a position that you may be underqualified for, the one thing that you do is the thing that you know how to do.
Right.
Everybody defaults to the thing that they know how to do. And so, when he thinks back as his time as a player, he's thinking about what worked, what he enjoyed as a player. And that's one of the things that's good about Cadillac is that, again, he has some direct connection to the stakeholders here, which are the players. Right. He's not so far removed from the game, and he can relate to them on every level. He can talk to these guys about what it's like to go through an NFL draft, be a top 5 pick, you know what I mean? Be rookie of the year in the NFL, offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. I mean, he can talk to these guys about a lot of stuff. Hey, man, coach, what's it like to be Bama 6 years in a row? Well, let me tell you about this.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't do it 6 years in a row, but he never lost to Bama.
Right.
Never lost.
Never lost.
Undefeated.
So, I just think there are some other, I think there are a lot of things that they could bring back that would be good for the team, because I'm telling you, man, those teams were hard hat, bring your lunch pail and just get to work kind of guys. And to Ike's point about recruiting receivers, somehow they found a way to get good receivers to come to Auburn, knowing that they weren't going to get a lot of passes. Devin Aromashodu, you go watch our interviews with Devin Aromashodu. He's talked about, like, hey, man, like, listen, you didn't come to Auburn. Like, you knew you were going to have to block.
Right.
And they still convinced those kids to come. So, there may be some things to cherry pick from, those times. I think that would make this team, just give them a little bit more of a tougher mentality and make them successful. So I like that he's bringing those things back. I think that's really good.
Rick asks, bring back Rodney Gardner.
I'm
cool.
I'm cool. Yeah, I'm cool.
Cool.
Well said, C. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right there.
Cool.
Yeah, there are definitely some things we can't talk about on air there, but I'm a solid no.
Yeah.
I heard it.
All right, guys. Good show. Glad I was able to catch a good majority of it. I tell the folk what they need to be doing.
Need to come on board with the Green Gang. If you want to become a member of the War Report, man, you can go ahead and do that. $5.99 per month will get you that film review that we're going to have popping off tomorrow. So make sure you're locked in with that. Go ahead and get your membership popping. If you have a membership and you want to get someone else on board as a member, you can gift the membership to them right there in the live chat. Just gift a membership from your desktop computer. You can go ahead and lock that in as well. We gave away stuff. If you didn't get a chance to get that, you can go and purchase your own. And we appreciate, listen, every dollar that you guys use to support the War Report goes a long way to help us make sure we can continue to bring you this kind of content in the timely fashion in which we're able to do it, right? Because that helps us to not have to go get day jobs and then stuff happens and we can't get on and we can't do all the stuff that we do. So we appreciate all the financial support that you all do to make sure that we can bring this great content to you. Speaking of other ways that you can be contributing to our success, we are the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Go and listen to those pods, man. If you like to listen to podcast content, maybe you want to re-listen to what we did here, listen to it on podcast so that you don't have to sit there and watch the screen. You can go listen to it in audio format. And we've got some pod only content. We're going to start increasing the pod only content as we get into basketball season. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, I've locked in Auburn Memes to come in and do a basketball pod with us. He already does Mike Mack in the Memes on Wednesday. He's going to jump in and do another pod with us that's about basketball. Memes is a big basketball guy, so he's going to come in and do that with us as we get more into the basketball season. So be on the lookout for that.
Gentlemen, good to see y'all. War Report family, great to see y'all. Before you get out of here, always be sure to help us out. You can do that by sharing these videos on social media. Help people to find our content. Help us grow our community, y'all. Help people to get in on these conversations. Smash the like button while you are here. Be greatly appreciated. And if you are new, we would love for you guys to subscribe. Also, you can find us on social. I mentioned Twitter and Facebook, but we're also on Instagram at The War Report. We are TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but a lot of content on the way. It's Iron Bowl week. It's hate week.
Yeah.
Let's get our hate on.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So plenty of opportunities to hate. We will definitely see you guys on the midweek report. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and your weekend. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.